Good morning. We got some things we got to cover today. We got a little bit of a fake out to the upside. Is this now following up with the fake out back to the downside? Whipsaw price action chopping you out. I hope nobody's getting chopped out because the opportunity is now. We got to stay prepared. We got to make sure we are not falling victim to our emotions. We got some charts we're looking at today, some strong signs of some movers that may be the front runners in this altcoin pump when it does come, when it really starts to break out. But we're about to get into it, everybody. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, because we're going to jump into these charts. We're covering a lot of TA today. We're going to be talking about some trade setups. We're going to be talking about what we're doing and so much more. So everybody get involved. Throw a 1 in chat if you are ready to get this going, because I know I am. Let's roll. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are tuned in from. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. My name is Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the show. We got to talk about these markets. We got to talk about the setups. We got to talk about these fake outs. When is it finally going to pump? That's what we're all here for, right? Well, let's talk about it. Let's jump right on into it. Make sure you're hitting that like button as you roll in, hitting that subscribe button, dinging the bell, because we're seeing a lot of signs in the charts. In the BitLab Discord, I shared this morning. I said market seemed to get got a little jolt this morning. The chop is by no means over, so don't get excited and forget risk management. There's a pool of liquidity directly above us. Some technical levels also at 62, but watch for some whipsaw. I posted this. You can see on this chart. We'll pull it up in a second. Watch for some whipsaws. This is a good start, breaking the upside with this small impulse, but watch for a move down to test the breakout point. This is what I was talking about. This is when price was pushing up. I was talking about a potential move down back into this zone. Similarly, we can see on the liquidity, we see that we had this pool above us, but also this pool below us. So what is it looking like right now? Because this is doing exactly what I was mentioning before that breakdown, the price coming back down to test where the bulls were going to come into this market. And what did they do? Came right back down within this. And when we look at this is on the 6-hour chart. Let's look at the 1-hour chart. Looking at this on the 1-hour chart, we're going to look for the weekly VWAP. And we are now flushed right back below it. Hopefully, if we want to be bullish, if we want to remain bullish, we need to get this price action back above this weekly VWAP, which is currently at 59,566, about $560 above the price action with where it's at right now. But look at this. Two things that I'm seeing stand out. Excuse me. Two things I'm seeing stand out here on the BitLab Trend Fuel, part of the BitLab trading stack, is on the 1-hour chart, we have pretty strong positive money flow here, and we're getting mixed signals. This is what ruins people, is you look for one signal instead of getting a collection of signals to help inform your actions in this market. But what we're seeing is the stochastics have come all the way back down here. This is a signal to me that hopefully we want to see this round back out and come back up. At the same time, it feels like a bit more like a washout move because we're seeing, look at these two red bars right here. This is a momentum wave. This is green where a lot of buying was coming in and then just normal buying pressure. And then here, this flips to a lot of sell pressure. We can tell because these bars are red. Similarly, the RSI is down. The stochastics have come down. We still have positive money flow, but the VWAP is angled down. What we'd really like to see if we're considering this move back to the downside as potentially, remember, we have to say potentially being a washout bear trap before it does continue up, is we want to see this stochastics actually bottom out and start rounding and angle back up. Similarly with the RSI, we want to see this angle back up, and we want to see a higher low here on this VWAP actually moving back to the upside. As it stands right now, it's still feeling a little bit more bearish than I'd like to call for an immediate reversal back to the upside. But look at all this sell pressure, even still on the current candle we're on. This is on a 24-minute candle, but the RSI looks like it's bottom. Stochastics not yet. But look at this. We got stopping volume. What am I talking about? BitLab Trading Stack is a collection of the BitLab intelligence here with all these indicators showing the moving averages, the dynamic support zone, trading signal, trading signal line, as well as the weekly VWAP here. But when you see these candles flip purple, this means that there's a lot of sell pressure. There's just people like, essentially, there's big players out there either trying to dump the market or doing some pretty big moves that that result in a lot of sell pressure coming in, more so than we saw in the previous candles. And then we get the yellow candle right here. As you can see how those candles change color when the BitLab trading stack is on. We see this is yellow, showing that there's basically stopping volume, that the volume that's been coming in here, been a dynamic shift in that sell pressure. So maybe this is a washout to the downside. We're going to have to keep our eyes on this, but we got a lot of things we're covering today. So as you roll in here, make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and dinging the bell. And remember, we got a lot of stuff to look at right now because these markets, we're coming into that time zone that at any moment between now and the end of September could be that monster pump that comes out of nowhere. So do not get complacent right now as these markets are setting up for the move of a lifetime. Because when we dive into some of the things we want to look at today, we could see we're still over $2.1 trillion. We saw a pretty big pump overnight. And remember, we got something to show about that. We got a signal that I've been talking about that we're going to be popping up here on the screen here in a few minutes. But kind of eating back up. We see the Bitcoin price pushed up, getting a little bit of that sell-off. Push up, a little bit of sell-off. BNB, we talked about the setup yesterday and the day before. We got that breakout to the upside. I mean, look at this, 9% over the last 7 days, up almost 4% in the last 24 hours. That's even with the little bit of a pullback we got. We also see a couple other big movers here. AAVE, up 31% for the week, still up 14%, even with that small bit of a drop here in the last 24 hours. We can also see AARWEAVE up 7%, up 8% in the last 24 hours. Look at this nice move. Boom. BitTensor up 6%. We're seeing signs of life. Avalanche also showing some signs of life. So what's going on here? Well, first off, let's talk about the state of the appetite of the market, because when you consider that 60% of the largest hedge funds, these are traditional focused, somewhat legacy market type players out there in the global financial sector. 60% of them have disclosed that they have Bitcoin holdings of the ETF. Citadel, Millennium, Mariner Investment Group, I can't even say that, Bali Yasni Asset Management, Renaissance Tech. We're seeing, I mean, just go down the list. We're seeing now the majority of the largest, over 60%, that's a majority. The majority of the largest hedge funds out there now hold Bitcoin. This is a seismic shift. And when you consider where Bitcoin is positioned on the global stage, and will it eat up market share from others or will it fall behind? Well, remember, this is a new asset class. For us, it's 14 years, but for the traditional markets, it's what? It's the 8th month, right? So it's a little over 7 months old because of that Bitcoin spot ETF. This is only just beginning. When we consider that and you realize that there's been increased demand for Bitcoin, and it signals market consolidation finale, meaning we're coming in towards the end of that consolidation. What consolidation are we talking about? Of course, we are talking about, let's come back over here to the BLX, go to the daily chart. This is that consolidation that we're talking about. Previous all-time high. Previous all-time highs. Consolidating in that channel, similar to what we saw in this 2017 peak. Let's turn off the indicators here. Just look at the price action. Previous all-time high here, price action consolidating right in that zone. This is essentially what we are doing. Similarly, previous all-time high, boom, basically rejecting on it, rejecting, a little fake out above, comes back down, then launches. Similarly to what we're seeing now. And all of this has to do with the timeline of where we're at in the market cycle relative to, you could call it global liquidity, you can call it having these two things somewhat overlay on top of each other and work in tandem. And what we're seeing right now is we're still within that 150, 160-day window. We're still within that window. So it makes sense that we're still consolidating. And similarly, I'd like to point out that we do have from this point right here to this point right here, look at where the price action is kind of holding on the edge of a cliff right now. It wouldn't be the best thing for the bulls in the near term if this does get rejected here and comes down and loses this. we're going to be coming down to $43,000. So know that that is a possibility. Even with all my bullishness, that does not mean that I'm going to count out a washout that will really scare the market, which very well could happen. But we're still sitting right here regionally in this zone. If price action can get back above about $62,000, similarly to what we saw on this post that I have in the BitLab Discord about that $62,000, has to do with the liquidity that's sitting up here, all this liquidity. If we are able to push through that, I do think it's going to result in price action making its way back up here to this upper bound of what we're looking at up at the $67,000 to $68,000 region. Once we clear that level, then I think it's going to start being very exciting in this market. So 60% of the traditional, the largest hedge funds out there are holding Bitcoin. We see that the demand, the observed increase in token transfer volume at the $57,000 level serves as an indicator of sustained demand for the coins. That area is getting bought up every time price action goes into it. If we do lose that level, that's when you get a pretty strong impulse from the bears that could bring us down to 43. But as it stands right now, we're seeing signs of life that could signal that we may be coming to an end of this consolidation pattern. And remember, this time is different, right? Everybody know. I mean, this is those levels I was just talking about, the consolidation. Remember, we have a much larger market cap right now as well. This is that next leg. When we look at this zoomed in, it looks just like this. How does this make you feel? The bear market from 69,000 down to 15,500. Bull run part one. This is that bull run part two that everybody is waiting on. Everybody's excited for it. Somehow we are so frustrated in the inner workings of how this trend will unfold. And all this is this similar thing that we're seeing right here. 2014 top, the bear market, bull run part one, come down, test this level, boom. Come down, look at this. Large gap here in terms of the spread of this sort of curved parabola, from the downside all the way to it curves to the upside. This is where the explosive parts of this market really start to get underway. So we don't need to be so worried right now until we start breaking major structural things. The bull market is not over. The excitement that is to come is only measured by your ability to be patient. Know that. Now, let me actually close some of these. When we look, I brought this up yesterday, the Dixie. We're setting up also for that risk to come back into the market. The bear market here, boom, bear market here. And we see this was also correlated with the strength of the dollar rising. Top, strength of the dollar rising. Huge sell-off from 69,000 down to 15,500. But then we get this sort of impulse up. We find a little bit of a support zone here. And then when the dollar breaks down, that was when we got that second part of the bull cycle. This part right here. This is what we're waiting on. The dollar to also start to break to the downside. The strength of the buying pressure of the dollar will also be a huge signal that risk is coming back in the markets. I know when we look back at this in 6 to 8 months, we're going to be like, it was so clear. But when we are in the middle of it, it's so difficult. Why is it so hard for us to manage our emotions? Ask yourselves that. And as this person says right here, Crypto Crabman says, peace, love, and learning. Lab coat right there. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what is going on here. Now, this is what we're also considering. I think the terribly boring time in the market will soon come to an end. I think most people have already forgotten that the USDT, the Tether dominance, has broken a 5-year uptrend to the downside. If USDT, much like we saw with the dollar, if the dominance of Tether goes down, that means people are selling their Tether by way of buying crypto assets. When you sell crypto assets into Tether, the dominance goes up. When you sell Tether into buying crypto assets, the dominance goes down. So if this 5-year trend line here, we came up, essentially confirming the previous support, flipping to resistance. This is signaling risk is likely coming back into this market very soon. So let's be a little bit more patient right now, just a little longer. so that we can ride this into Valhalla, right? Now, moving on to the next. SEC halts the Solana ETF progress. SEC and CBOE halted the filing process for Solana's ETFs due to concern over Solana's classification as a security. So you have to remember, we've talked about this, Bitcoin, Ethereum. These are two assets, the top dogs within the crypto ecosystem. In addition to them being the top dogs in the crypto ecosystem, they have more regulatory clarity than any other crypto asset out there. There stand to reason that there could be still a bit of a truncated or downward pressure, suppression, or lack of full risk appetite within the altcoin market. It's all going to depend on what happens over the next few months about where that altcoin market's going to go. But it is setting up, as we were talking about, the USDT dominance, finding a rejection here, coming down with where we're at in this bullish trend, with the dollar about to break down, with the coming into the second part of the bull run, which is the most explosive time. We still have a huge amount of opportunity in this market. There's still some questions within this within the altcoin sector. So let's just be a little patient and make sure we're managing our risk appropriately as we step through this. Now, I think I had something else here. I want to shout out before we continue on. We're about to get into a bunch of TA. So everybody throw in 2 coins that you want to look at. We're going to try and get through as many as we can today. Let's break down some of these targets. Let's break down some of these signals. But before we do, remember to protect your crypto, protect your future. The best crypto cold storage solution out there, Arculus. Head over to getarculus.com. It uses biometrics. It uses a card. It uses your phone. It keeps the keys off your phone. So it doesn't matter if you lose a card or if you lose your phone, because remember, you need all 3 of those different things to make sure you can access your crypto. So the most secure crypto cold storage solution out there. One tap, swap, trade, and store your crypto. GetArculus.com. Use code LAB10 for 10% off your Arculus. Now, when we're looking at the liquidity on the charts, this is on the 3-day. Let's go out to the monthly. We have, look at this. This is the hottest level right up here. About $70,000. That would be above the levels that we had outlined, which is essentially this 68,000. And why is that? Because you have this level, which is a downward sloping resistance line. But here's about 70,000 is about, let's see. We have this, there we go. We have this high here, which is of this downward slope, but we also have this high here that we have to contend with. And then, of course, this $74,000 mark. But when we're looking at all this and we look at where liquidity is in the market, right here, starting at basically about right at $70,000. This is that previous range high that we were just talking about. Once the price action is able to clear this, I think it's going to be open season for the bulls to absolutely rampage. Now, this is on the 1-month chart. What does it look like on the 1-week chart? 1-week chart, look at this. We came up here, scooped this liquidity, a little bit of a fake out to the upside, come back down. We don't have that much liquidity below us. The hotter zone is directly above us at that $62,000 mark that we were discussing on a technical level, also on a liquidity level in this market. And this is that level. Once we clear this, then it starts giving us that trajectory to come. This is basically that $62,000 mark. Boom. Put a level right there, 62. Once we clear this, we're back in the upper half of this downward sloping, basically flag. And once we clear that, the next level up here that we're really looking at is about 66,000, then 68,000. As we stand right now, everything is coiling up for a move. Now that move could go up, it could go down. But as we're seeing more and more just absolute bullish news in terms of the adoption and the appetite for these larger players, even if we move down, I want you to realize a move down from here would only scream the best asymmetric investment opportunity of our lives because of the bullish fundamental structure of everything that's happened. So when we zoom in and we look at this, remember, this is on the daily. Let's get down to, did you notice that too? The money flow kind of curving up like this. The VWAP angle back up. This is holding basically right here in this middle region, 40 to 50%. If the RSI can break above this zone, That is going, this is on the daily chart too. That's going to signal that move to the upside. When we look at this on the 4-hour chart, let's go ahead and delete some of these lines now. The money flow has flipped positive, but it's neutral. There's not real appetite yet. Stochastic's angled up, it's starting to roll over. So we're seeing on the daily, the setup is starting to be there. But on the 4-hour, as you see, RSI angled to the downside. If we can hold and bounce here, that will start to show those signs of life. When we look at this on the charts, look at this nice washout back to the downside, but we're holding a particular level here. When we look at this, we're holding a particular level here. Let's go ahead and delete this from the other day. If we can hold this zone right here, we're coming right back into this trend line as we speak. If we can hold this level, and this is just a bit of a washout up, washout down, then we can start talking about clearing past that $62,000 mark. I am so excited and bullish for the coming months. It just takes patience in this moment as things are consolidating to wash out those that are on the wrong side of the trade. If this does move down, I mean, I'm going to be an absolute buyer if we move back down into these zones. Absolutely. But when we continue on and we look at, for instance, like ETH, it's looking a little weak if you just look at it on price action. Now, I've noticed on the BitLab volume, we have this order block that formed right here, this red order block. Can you see that slight shading here? Tried to push up into it, got rejected. Now we're sitting here riding on support of this order block that's directly below us. If we lose this, I do think that we're going to be coming back down into this $2,300 to $2,400 range down in here, testing this level. As it stands right now, this is tried to flip bullish. See, positive money flow, but I want you to notice, see how this flips gray? And there is positive money flow, but it's almost, it almost feels like fake out money flow because it's gray, meaning it's somewhat neutral in the money that is coming in. RSI angled down. The stochastics tried to push up, starting to roll back over to the downside. VWAP angled to the downside. If this does not hold this level, that it's essentially coming into test right here. Again, I do think we're coming back down into the mid 2300s. And then, of course, the next level down is going to be down here back at the 2150 mark for Ethereum. Now, Ethereum also looks similarly set up on the Bitcoin chart, meaning see this impulse up and kind of rolled back over. If this comes back down into this 0.042 zone here and loses it, then this is going to suggest that it's going to be losing buying power against Bitcoin. So everything right now is waiting on that impulse from the markets to give the signal for altcoins to flow as well. This is why you have to be very careful about what you're doing in this moment. Now, when we look at things like BNB, which we talked about yesterday, let's see, this is 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. We're on the 4-hour. We talked about this basically breaking out of this zone here. Where did it go? Right into the order block that was directly above. From back here on August 2nd. Push right up into it, and now we're getting a little bit. I would expect this likely, let me go ahead and zoom this out here. I would expect this to come back and test back here in the 540s, lower 540s, which would be a very healthy move. If you're a BNB trader, if you're a BNB holder, if you're trying to look for an opportunity, I'd be looking for a test back into this level, these highs right in here. We have the green order block down here, as well as this zone that we've had marked out for some time that look, rejection, rejection, rejection. We broke through it, support, push up. We're getting rejected currently at this order block. If the market does have a bit of a washout, I'll be watching for a move back into the zone. If it starts to bounce, then I'd be getting it somewhere about right there. Now, when we're looking at this on the BitLab Trend Fuel, positive money flow, much more clear. See how this is bright blue instead of gray? Money came into this. We also saw a lot of buying power, which is why these are green, substantiating that move. However, the RSI got a little overheated, and I could tell this is going to be bearish divergence because we have, let's see. Like even from this point right here, oops. Even from this point right here, option T, this is angled to the upside. from those same points, this is, for the most part, flat. So there's some weakness coming into this level. And this would present a wonderful area. And if this is lost, then we'd be looking back here at 505. I would love to get BNB at 505. How many of you out there? How many of you are out there that hold BNB, trade BNB, like BNB? I feel like it's a regional thing. Some people, there's so many people on the West Coast, on the Asian markets and other parts of the world, that it's such a big player. And I don't see many people talking about it. Remember, Binance is the largest exchange out there. So we have to take consideration of that. And Matthew Hyland's going to jump in here in a few minutes. Matt, I'm going to cover a couple things and then I'll flip the interview thing on. I have it turned off right now. Then you can hop in and we can look at some charts with Mr. Matthew Hyland. Now we also have to look at AAVE. Nice. I mean, look at this move from August 4th. That's not a small move. That's a 73% move off that bounce. AAVE has been making some huge strides, and especially as DeFi, we have to remember we're at the early adopter stage of the institutional and corporate and big money players. They're starting to realize there's other avenues within the crypto ecosystem also outside of just Bitcoin, outside of just buying ETFs and those sorts of things, but and Ethereum ETF, etc. But we also have the DeFi opportunities out there, like being your own bank, lending to yourself, using your own crypto as collateral, staking, earning, much larger, essentially rewards or interest, if you want to compare it to traditional finance. And a lot of those other players, especially with where we're at in the market cycle, are starting to wake up and utilize these things again. Man, got the coughs today. But AAVE, look at where it pushed up into, right into the order block from let's see where this went. This came all the way back to April. This is where we pushed up into order block right here. If we do get a little bit of a sell-off here, I think it will create an opportunity, which is getting rejected in the zone. If we do get rejected and come into this area right here, 112, basically 111 to 115 would be a great opportunity zone. You'd be kind of flushing out a little bit deeper than these range tops that we see right in here. This would create a great opportunity zone here to come back up, small rejection, breakout, boom, and then continue to the upside. But AAVE is, when you talk about things that are moving after a huge sell-off, you look for those altcoins that have a huge amount of buying pressure on them, so that because it's giving you a signal about the appetite before the rest of the market heats up. We saw similarly with BitTensor, TAO, basically near 100% bounce here, sell off. And let's look at this. If we take this option F from the bottom to the top, look where this came back down to. We have the very, very strong. Which is a normal, healthy habit in assets to pull back to the golden pocket, which it did the very bullish choice here. 382 came up. We have to keep an eye on this though, because on this bounce, we currently have a lower high. If this can't find some footing here in the near term, if this can't find some footing here, bounce and basically clear these two order blocks in the 325 to 340 range, which we see on the chart here, automatically printed for you with the BitLab trading stack. By the way, you all can get access to this. You just head over to, we still have that huge deal going on because it is still below the previous all-time high. And that is this right here. Head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. Sign up. You get 15 days free. That's for the Discord where we're sharing trading signals, members, streams, all kind of stuff. It's not just me. We've got so many people in here. John Dalton, absolute OG trader. Corduroy, and so many different people in here trading charts. You can do chart requests, get signals. We have a community. It's not just me. Sometimes I'm posting a ton in there. Sometimes it's John Dalton and Corduroy and Alex Green. We got a great community. And when you sign up, you get 15 days free. You get access to all those member streams as well as the charts. And in addition to that, of course, once you do sign up, the next page, the second page, you have access to upgrade and get the BitLab trading stack. That's not 15 days free because you're using it immediately. It immediately changes your ability to read these markets and see what's going on. You get the intelligence here where it's showing you likely reversals as well as the BitLab volume, as it's going to pop on here in a second, where it's giving you these order block regions to pay attention to, as well as the volume profile. I don't know why it's not on this one. Let's turn it back off. Yeah, there you go. Got the volume profile there. And then, of course, the BitLab trend fuel here on the bottom, which is giving you the ideas on the money flow, the stochastics, the buying pressure, and you get this awesome dashboard here. You get that at lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. And if you just want the indicators, sign up for the Discord, upgrade, get this, and then you can cancel the Discord membership. But I recommend you be in there because we got a great community. Now, getting back into BitTensor comes down to this. Not only creates an order block right in here, but also has the 382 bounce up. If we can find support here and push higher, then this is going to be a great sign. If we do lose this zone and come back down here, I'd be looking for an insane opportunity for TAO here at the 220 mark, which is the golden pocket zone right here in this asset. Now, the last one I want to talk about here, and then we're going to bring on Matthew Hyland, is Constellation DAG. Constellation DAG has been doing some absolutely incredible things, but let's look at the market. Let's look at what's going on with the price action. Not only do they have incredible things going on with a potential opportunity to basically do secure data with the Pentagon. The Pentagon has gotten hacked. We just saw the IRS got hacked. We just, you guys don't understand what's going on globally with cybersecurity. It is a preeminent, absolute top focus thing that world governments, banks, corporations are looking at. And DAG already has contracts with U.S. Air Force, with the Department of Defense, with the Space Force, with the International Space Station, partnerships with IBM and Panasonic. They have these systems in place that are already tried and true and proven. So when I'm looking at the price action here and I see it's been in a falling wedge and I see it's looking like, I mean, look at this beautiful sort of inverted head and shoulders, very ugly. If you don't see that, then it is a rounding bottom coming up into this resistance zone. And when we're considering the fact that public adoption of HGTP looks inevitable. Social security numbers of every American was just leaked. We have data leaks and hacks happening just about every day. Last week, Undersecretary of Defense had a meeting with Constellation DAG. They're on this road to likely have some absolutely incredible contracts coming through with them handling that data security. In addition to that, unlocking secure information, sharing for everybody. Constellation DAG, DoD vetted, Iron Spider tech. This is what I'm talking about. Initially developed for the U.S. Department of Defense, now available for public and enterprise use. This is why when you're looking at this chart and you see it's had an absolutely astounding large push up back here in February 2021, this large sell-off, this big impulse back up, back down, double bottoming here. I'm not worried about, is this going to be a failed project? No, because they have all these essential, the entire fundamental framework of how they were built was with not even big tech, but with militaries, with governments, with the security mechanisms in place for this. I'm going to be doing an entire video on this later. This is why when I see this setting up, coming down into the zone, do not sleep on DAG. I think it's the most underrepresented in terms of retail altcoins out there. So definitely pay attention to that. So I'm going to turn on the interview thing now so Mr. Matthew Hyland can pop in there. I do believe it's the same link. There he is. He's already in the guest room. And the last thing I want to say before we bring him on is Avalanche. And I do want to tell you all, we do have a partnership with Constellation DAG. Why? Because I want to make sure that we can, one, keep our lights on, and two, we're only going to take partnerships with projects, people, and different utilities that have absolute impactful, meaningful effect on the space. But I'll always let you know if we have any partnerships or anything like that. And I love what they're doing, and I want to help support it. And if we can make sure we can broaden what we're doing here through those partnerships, we'll do it. But Avalanche, look at this sell-off down here all the way into the 17 mark that nobody nobody was really considering this coming down here. I was telling you all about this. We've had this drawn. This was an incredible buy opportunity. As it stands right now, this is on the weekly. If we come down to the 4-hour, look at this sort of ugly symmetrical triangle. I don't even know what to really call this. But then now fighting to make its way back up. And what are we watching on Avalanche? We're watching for this to clear not only this zone where this got rejected right here at that order block zone. We need this to clear the zone and get really back above 24.65 before you start considering some bullish continuations. As it stands right now, it's in a sort of sideways chop zone. If this does break out, watch for a retest and continuation. That would be the signal in my eyes for that. On a breakdown here, I'd be watching for another opportunity down here at $19. And if we lose that, then I do think we have a good opportunity to come back down here into the 18s. But that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm feeling. But we got to get another set of eyes on this. We got to get the man himself, Mr. Matthew Hyland, coming on in here. So let's get him in the zone. How you doing? This is not Crypto Danks. This is Mr. Matthew Hyland. There we go. What's up, dude?
What's going on? I don't know how you have so much energy in the morning when I'm like half asleep, waking up.
You got the camera on. You just get going, baby.
Doesn't work for me like that.
Oh, so hey,
not work for me like that.
Should we announce it here? Everybody, we're going to announce it. Me and Matthew are going to be doing some nightly streams. I think they're going to be live on Twitter, and then we can post it onto YouTube. I think that's what we're going to do. But we're going to be doing some nightly streams. I don't know if it's going to be 5 days a week, but we're going to create a schedule in the evenings, and we're going to do it. We're going to be bringing you guys that alpha in the evenings. So give us a taste of that alpha, baby.
We'll definitely figure something out, and we'll probably do it after the stock market closes. So around that time, probably. So I'm looking at Bitcoin today, and last night it went up, and now we're seeing a pullback. So if you look at this, there's support down here around 57.7K. We don't really want to see this lost because that would be a lower low, but this is only on the 4-hour time frame, so it is a smaller time frame. We've been kind of just in this broad range kind of for the last few days and weeks, it seems like, where we've just been going back and forth. This does kind of look like an inverse head and shoulders, but if we were to lose this area at this point, let me remove this box. If we were to lose this 57.7 area, then I wouldn't consider this a head and shoulders anymore. But I think we're kind of just still consolidating, and really, like right now, my thesis is still the same. I'm sure most of you guys remember me from the last time when I came on. I basically have said the same thing. You look back previous history, it's just the same pattern where Bitcoin kind of doesn't really do much and then starts to slowly trend up into October, into November, into December. In election years. And I think we're just going to see something like that. And I'm going to, let me see if I can find it. I had it drawn out kind of. I posted this on Twitter last night, but this is really the path. If you just look at the last 3 election cycles and even last year, this is sort of the path that Bitcoin has taken. So really, maybe we do just go straight up, but I would say just to like have your expectations to like something around this, just based on history. It might just take a few more months, maybe a month or so. It's already almost the end of August. So, I mean, the summer's flying by. It's about to be September. And historically, actually, September is Bitcoin's worst month, believe it or not. So September, maybe we will see some green. We actually saw some green last year in September, but historically, September is the worst month for Bitcoin. And that doesn't mean it'll crash or anything. But I just don't expect too much in September. I think it's going to be just more of this chop. A lot of people are getting chopped up, just going in and out and trying to buy, sell, and thinking there's going to be a crash, there's going to be a pump. I think just be patient and just don't get shaken out. Don't lose your positions, your long-term positions at least, because I don't think we're going to see too much volatility probably until I think October or November. I think that's when we're going to start to heat up more. So it's just a little bit longer, essentially, what I'm trying to say.
Well, hey, the Dusty Hunt he said he's up $16 for the day. Killing the game, baby.
There you go.
Hey, every dollar matters. That is the truth.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's Bitcoin. What do Ethereum's been doing some interesting stuff. I think it's likely tied to the fact that the difference of inflows and outflows on the ETFs. But do you think Ethereum's going to start to wake up and kick off a little bit more alt encouragement, or what's your thoughts there?
I think Ethereum currently is just stuck in the overall election cycle with Bitcoin right now. And Ethereum, usually, if you look back historically, once when Bitcoin has cleared all time highs, such as last cycle in 2020, Ethereum starts to surge a lot around this time. When Bitcoin was around $20,000, or when it broke $20,000 for good, Ethereum was about $600, and then proceeded to go from $600 up to 2,900, almost 4,000 within 4 or 5 months. So Ethereum saw massive gains once when Bitcoin cleared all-time highs. But back in 2020, Ethereum was down about 60% when Bitcoin cleared all-time highs, and currently Ethereum is down 45%. So Ethereum is kind of ahead of where it was in 2020, actually, even though there's super negative sentiment. Everyone's super, there's just like a view of Ethereum that it's not doing much. But it wasn't really doing too much either. And it was only, I mean, it was down 60% last time, but then it ended up going on a major run as well. And a lot of altcoins did that at the time. Pretty much all the altcoins, I'd say, 95% of them did really nothing until Bitcoin cleared all-time highs. And then once when Bitcoin cleared all-time highs, we saw this major run across the board. BNB, Cardano, this was really like early 2021, like January, February. So this was within weeks of Bitcoin clearing all-time highs. We saw just a major run from everything, and all these coins just far outperformed Bitcoin. We did see some coins earlier in 2020 do some action, which was like the DeFi coins. It was known as DeFi summer. There might be some people around that remember that time period, but that was pretty much the only coins. And then there was like Chainlink, and then other than that, pretty much the rest of the altcoins did absolutely nothing. So I'd say that what we saw over the last year, or starting in 2024 or late 2023, with alts running, was kind of actually more than what we even got last cycle prior to Bitcoin breaking all-time highs, because last cycle we didn't really see much at all, but this cycle we actually saw dozens and dozens and dozens of coins go up a lot. And I know a lot of them have given back their gains, but in 2020 we really didn't even get that opportunity. It was really pretty much just Bitcoin until Bitcoin broke all-time highs, and then once when Bitcoin cleared all-time highs for good, then the fun started. So
I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree with all that. And, I'm in this market for, 8 years, and I still feel like, come on, man, go. Especially with
yeah,
altcoins, and it's all tied. That we keep thinking that cyclical flow of money throughout the ecosystem has changed. It hasn't. That's still the same. But what are you seeing? What's going on with Link?
let me pull the chart up. Let's see what it looks like. Link USD. Oops, let me get rid of some of this stuff. I'd say for Chainlink, it's just still it broke down out of this this head and shoulders pattern. It kind of retested this breakout area. So Chainlink, I think Chainlink is really just on par with most of the other alts, where it's probably not going to really start to run until Bitcoin clears all-time highs and we start to see Ethereum go. It got up to about $22 last year, but I do think it probably at some point will make a run. It does have a lot of support in this whole area, so I'd be rather surprised if it ended up losing this area. I think this will end up holding for the most part, and then whenever Bitcoin and Ethereum start to run, we probably will see it push up to these higher ends, and then eventually I do think Chainlink will end up eventually getting back to this all-time high and probably breaking it at some point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it feels like it's still a great opportunity zone for Chainlink, hovering at that previous range high. I mean, that range, everybody, so you understand, horizontal levels become more substantiated the more touches they have, especially that consolidation period was, I think it was like 570 days or something. So that huge amount of support, that was a huge amount of resistance previously, gives us a good idea about, is it a good time to start stacking into it if you haven't yet, or strengthening your position? I do definitely think so.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think someone's asking on the side if I think the top is in. I don't think the top is in for this cycle. I think I'd say maybe a 5 to 10% chance. So 95% chance the top is not in for the cycle. I think I think it's actually just flowing how it typically does. And we kind of got ahead with the push up. But there's also reasons for that, in my opinion, in which we didn't really have like a huge run last cycle. So it was kind of easier for Bitcoin to get back to the all time high this cycle. It wasn't like the multiples that had to go up was not as much as say 2017 or in 2013. So it was a little bit easier for Bitcoin to get up to the all-time highs, but it has kind of stalled here for the last 5 or 6 months. But I do think eventually it will break out of this, and then we'll see a run at some point.
So I got to ask, I still think it's an incredible project, but is MATIC dead? It doesn't seem like it's in anybody's talking points. It's still an incredible layer 2 on top of Ethereum. Their partnerships are like out of this world. That the number of different corporations are partnered with them, as well as other blockchains. What's going on with Polygon's price action?
I would say for Polygon, it looks like it basically has retested the June 2022 lows. Um, Polygon's chart was very different than most alts. It kind of had a big run here when a lot of stuff was going down. Like this was, I think, right here was the FTX crash right here, and Polygon was actually up like 100% off. Actually, even more than that, like 130% off of the June lows. So Polygon's been like on a different kind of path. I would say for Polygon, it really needs to reclaim this area at this point. It kind of has essentially double bottomed, and so something like this, it would need to reclaim this area
Is that 50
around 51
cents?
cents. Yeah,
Okay.
around 51 cents. I I would. The interesting thing though is if you look back at Ethereum though, Ethereum did something actually now that I, like look at it similar where it bottom went on a run and then we saw the double bottom right here and a lot of people were scared to buy Ethereum down here. This was during the 2020 crash actually. Um, but then if you had bought there, it ended up working out pretty well. And I think MATIC, they are rebranding, correct, to a
Yeah,
different
to Polygon or to Paul, POL.
to Paul. Okay. Yeah, I haven't really heard much about them or followed them as much as I did last cycle, so I'm not too familiar. But I'd say for the chart, as far as the chart's concerned, it would just need to reclaim this 50 cents area, and then if it did, then I think it probably will see some sort of run, a push up, and maybe this is the bottom right here, and this ends up being like a double bottom type of structure that Ethereum saw last cycle.
Yeah, and it's got a very clear descending a resistance line there too. That if it cleared that
Yeah,
descending resistance line, that would also be a pretty good impact on clearing that low, that previous
yeah.
range low.
Yeah. If it were to be, if it was able to clear this area, this would be like a positive sign. I want to show everyone. You were discussing it earlier, which was AAVE. But the interesting thing about AAVE, you showed the AAVE USD chart, but the more interesting thing is actually the Bitcoin pair. The Bitcoin pair ended up breaking back up into this area on the weekly time frame. So Aave, if you look at the Aave chart, it's really one of the few coins that has essentially gone up against Bitcoin since April. So this was the April low. So it's outperformed. Actually, you could really say it's outperformed Bitcoin since, I guess, since the ETF launch back in January, which would be like around here. So it's almost outperformed Bitcoin since the ETF has launched, and most altcoins have not done that. So Aave is definitely an interesting chart where it's breaking through these resistance areas against Bitcoin. So even if Bitcoin were to go down, it's possible Aave's USD price would hold up because it has strength against Bitcoin essentially right now. And really, there's not much room if it can close. So it just closed the weekly right here, and then this was on Sunday night, and then of course yesterday, Monday, Aave pushed up a lot. We saw yesterday, but now if it closes a weekly above this area, then it really has a free run for essentially a 50% move against Bitcoin. So Aave could potentially see a much larger move than it already has seen, essentially, depending on how the weekly closes. But this
Well,
is
yeah,
looking
I
super.
mean, this one also, like we were just talking about with Matic with Polygon. This also has a massive, almost macro descending resistance diagonal that we're also, in process of sort of attempting a breakout on as well.
Yes, let me look at
That's
the
the
USD
AAVE
chart.
Bitcoin chart. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then if you look at the Bitcoin structure looks a little bit more clear. So it makes more sense why AAVE is going up in USD price, because the Bitcoin structure, you just looked at this is breaking through all sorts of resistance. So obviously for the USD price, it's going to reflect. If you look at like the weekly time frame, if it ends up closing a weekly above like $128, it really has a move. I mean, there's resistance up here around 150, around $150, but it probably has a move up to like 250-ish area, depending on how this weekly closes, which I'll show right here. If it can close above this area, it really just, there's not much resistance here. It has like open air essentially. So I'd say just keep an eye on AAVE. There's a few other coins out there that are starting to show some strength against Bitcoin, but AAVE is definitely the one that looks the strongest currently. And I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know. I don't understand, or I don't look into the fundamentals too much. I know what AAVE is, but maybe behind the scenes there's something going on, and there's a reason why it's being bidded up.
Well, I know that there was a huge, I don't want to call it a supply shock, but there was on chain, there was a huge amount of AVE that's been basically
Oh,
moved off exchanges. So I think that sort of, kind of gave the on chain
yeah.
signal to people. Okay. And also, of course, you have less supply. Demand has more of an effect on exchange. So do you
I did
follow
see.
stacks at all?
No, the coin. Yeah, I that chart actually, I could load that up. I think with Aave though, I did see that the amount of loans, I believe, is at an all time high. So I think Aave is being used significantly right now or something. I'm not. I saw like a post on Twitter about it. This is Stacks, correct? This is the
Yeah.
chart. So this chart, let's see.
I don't like that giant rising channel that it essentially has been in.
This is since December 2022. So it's kind of gotten a run up. It found support right here. So let's see. Maybe put support right there. Bouncing off this, I'd say um, I would say like this area right here, kind of around $1.63 is kind of resistance. So if Stacks can get through that, it would probably be in the clear. It kind of has like a downward trend right here. So if we could see a breakout, it's trying to work on its third green weekly candle. So it's definitely an interesting area. And I do know that the SEC did back off of Stacks. I believe they said that they dropped their lawsuit. I believe it was against Stacks as a
Yeah.
security. So Stacks is kind of in the clear to avoid the regulation in the SEC currently. Where else can we go? TAO's kind of seeing a push up today.
Nice, beautiful W formation could be forming on that too.
Let
If
me
we
go
can
down
clear
to.
that high.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if TAO can clear this area right here, I go back to the weekly actually. If TAO can clear this 360 area, it's probably. I mean, it probably goes to all time high shortly after.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's not much. There's really no resistance here on the weekly time frame. If you look, there's some at around 480, 490, but really it has like a free move essentially to all time highs. Um, so it's kind of stuck in the middle right now, but we'll see what it does afterwards.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Sui. Sui was the one that we kind of we had discussed like a week or so ago, a week and a half ago, and said, let's see what it does. It ended up breaking below the support. Wasn't able to close the weekly. So Sui needs to get through this 89 cents area. If it can close a weekly above this 89 cents area, then I think it will push up to these highs around $1.17 over here. But this does look like a big rejection right here with this long wick. So we'll see what happens. It's in the green currently on the weekly. If it can close above, it's probably good to go. If it can't, then this is kind of a long wick right here. Let me actually remove this so you guys can see. Are there any
Yeah.
other coins? Let's
Yeah,
see.
ONDO.
ONDO.
You gotta
Let's
look at
see.
ONDO. It's a sweetheart, darling U.S. Treasury RWA for BlackRock.
Yeah. I think we looked at it a few weeks ago. ONDO. ONDO.
It's trying
ONDO's
to hold
been
that
kind of
support, man.
actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it broke. This was the August low, came back up. It needs to hold this area right here around 64 cents. If not, then it'll probably come down to 60, and then you don't really want to see that loss. I mean, it's unfortunate actually that it lost this area right here because used this as support multiple times, broke below it, but then was able to reclaim it, but now has broken back below it. So Ondo is kind of looking a little bit weaker currently. Um, if it can reclaim this 70 cents area though and get back into this above this line, then Ondo would probably look a lot better. So it really only needs like an 8% or 7% move to change its trajectory or path currently.
Yeah. Aerodrome.
Which coin?
AERO, Aero.
Uh, I think we had actually charted this out a few weeks ago. Okay. So I think we charted this out like way back here, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. It's kind of, I
It's
see.
trying
Okay.
everything it can do to
I see.
maintain a higher low.
Yeah. No, I see what it's doing. Okay. Let me just draw a box. So it kind of has this box based off of this low right here. So it's kind of, it really would need to hold 61 cents. Um, you don't want to see that loss. If it lost it, it'd probably come down to these lower levels once again. But it could also build a base here. And then really at this point, I'd say we need to get above this resistance right here now, which is around 74 cents. If it gets above 74 cents, then puts in a higher high, that would be like a first good sign of a potential reversal underway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't even
XCN.
I don't even
I'm
know
not
what
sure.
XCN is.
Let's see. Oh, it's actually on Coinbase. So we'll try Coinbase and Kraken. We'll try both these. See which one has better price history. Okay.
Onyx. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Okay. So the weekly close wasn't too bad. So the weekly, it lost this area down here. Lost it, but then on the weekly close on Sunday, it looks like it was able to reclaim this area. So that's a positive sign. I'd say really this area. Let me just draw a box. Actually, it's kind of in a range between 0.0012 and about 0.0015 ish, 16. So if it can clear this box, then it probably will push up to the 0.00183. But it's kind of in a range. So I would just say watch the support down here. If it loses this, then it'd probably come down to these lows at 0.001. But if it can hold it and then end up breaking through this upper area, then it would just need to get through this area to put in a higher high. And then if it were to put in a higher high, then you know that the trend is starting to probably reverse for this coin.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to, I mean, everything's, I feel like, kind of waiting on Bitcoin's risk determination on what direction the market's going to go. Everything's like, we want to,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it seems like every single time when Bitcoin pushes up, whenever we get like a green candle or two green candles on the daily, we get the dump the next day. Like it's always like on point. Like last night we had the push up and then red, pushed up here, red, pushed up here, red. had 2 days of green, red, red, 2 days of green, red. So every single time we kind of get a move up, we see a small pullback the following day. Um, we're kind of just, I guess, waiting. This was you could say like right now. Let me actually go to this time frame. You could say right now this is just on the 4-hour time frame, higher high. Now, if it can make a higher low, that'd be good, and then make another higher high and push up past here, because this looks like higher low, higher low, higher low, potentially higher high, higher high, higher high. So we're kind of in like a little mini uptrend over the past 2 or 3 or 4 days, it looks like, where it's just kind of swinging. But we'll see. It really needs to just ultimately break through this upper area around 62K. And then I think
It's the same level I was
bigger move.
outlining from the liquidation heat map plus just technical levels. 62
Yeah.
feels very important.
Yeah, this whole area, really 62 to 63, because then you have right here, there's resistance. So if we can get through this area, this box ultimately push through here, we'll probably get pushed up toward this area, and then we'll see what happens from there. If we get rejected or we break out, we'll see though. Let's get through this area though first before that happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Matt, I always
Yeah.
love having you on. I want to shout out everybody that is here. If you have not followed Matt yet, let me go ahead and pull up his page real 1 second. Matthew Hyland. Boom, right there. Make sure you go and give him a follow at Matthew Hyland _. And remember, everybody, we got all kind of great things that are coming here for all of you that are signing up with us to trade at CoinW. The link is pinned in the top of the description. Or sorry, it's in the top of the description, but it's also pinned at the top of the live chat. I'll post it right there in the live chat as well. If you sign up there. Go and sign up with us, because you can get all kind of great things. Looking here, we can see you deposit $3,000, you get $1,000 reward. And that all those rewards get paid on the 29th of August. You deposit $100, you get a $100 reward. $200, you get $200. This is bonus, free money you can trade with. And by the way, if you do sign up and deposit a minimum of $100, you're going to get a free access to some trading courses, as well as some live trading sessions. So you can make sure that you're on the right side of these trends. We're getting all of the back end stuff of that sorted right now with my buddy Morel is going to be helping run all that. But Matthew is one of the best TA guys in the space. I'm always honored he can hop in here, and I can't wait for us to do our evening streams.
Yeah, it should be fun when we get like a dedicated schedule going and everything, and then start to build it from there.
Absolutely. Now, everybody have a wonderful day. Remember to step outside these charts. Not everything is about money. When it is about money, that money should be about family, because that's why we're here, is to expand our resources, right? So everybody have a wonderful day. I'm going to shoot you all off over to DGen Alpha, so you can just stay on the stream. It'll send you there, or you can head over there now, and Taco is going to be breaking things down for you. Matthew, thank you again for being here, and everybody, thank you for tuning in. Adios.